The table was already against me before anyone said a word. My parents sat smiling, relaxed, enjoying dinner like nothing could touch them. My sister Nora leaned back in her chair, scanning the table, waiting for the right moment. She found it quickly. "So," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "where's your husband and kids?" A few people chuckled. I didn't answer. "Oh," she continued, laughing. "Right, you don't have any." My parents laughed with her, not awkwardly, comfortably, like this joke had been told before and always landed the same way. The attention shifted. Forks paused. Eyes flicked toward me, then away. This was the part where I was supposed to smile and make it easy for everyone else. Nora wasn't done. "All that independence," she said, shaking her head. "All that work, and you still end up alone." She took a sip of wine, satisfied. I stayed quiet. I set my fork down slowly and looked around the table, at the faces enjoying themselves, at how relaxed everyone felt while I was being turned into entertainment. That was when something clicked. Not anger, not embarrassment, clarity. Because this wasn't teasing. It was a pattern, and everyone at that table knew their part in it. Before I tell you what I said next, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is right now, because the moment after this is when everything stopped being a joke. The silence didn't break right away. It stretched, thin and uncomfortable, like everyone was waiting for someone else to fix it. My parents looked at me expectantly, not with concern, with impatience. This was the pause where I usually save the night. Nora tilted her head. "Relax," she said. "It's just a joke. A joke only works when everyone's laughing." I stayed quiet, not frozen, choosing. My mother finally spoke. "Don't be so sensitive," she said gently, like she was helping me. "You know how your sister is." That line landed harder than the joke. It always did. It meant adjust yourself. It meant this is easier if you do. Nora smiled, encouraged. "Exactly," she said. "We're family. We can say these things." Around the table, people shifted. Someone reached for bread. Someone checked their phone. No one told her to stop. No one asked if I was okay. I looked down at my plate, untouched, then back up at them, at how relaxed they all were, how sure they were that this moment would pass the way it always had. That's when I understood why it hurt the way it did. It wasn't the comment. It was the confidence behind it, the certainty that I would swallow it, that I would stay quiet, that nothing would change because it never had before. I took a slow breath and felt something settle instead of spike. Not anger, not sadness. Decision. Before anyone could laugh again, before my mother could smooth it over, I knew exactly what I was going to say. And I also knew there was no way to say it without changing everything. I set my fork down carefully. Not hard, not fast. Just enough for the sound to register. I looked at Nora first, then at my parents. They were still smiling, waiting for me to play along, waiting for the moment to pass. It didn't. "Where's your money?" I asked calmly. The laughter faded, not all at once. Confused, uneven. Nora blinked. "What?" "Oh, right." I continued, my voice steady. "I've been supporting you." The table shifted. My mother's smile froze. My father's glass stopped halfway to his mouth. "I mean it," I said. "Rent, bills, emergencies, trips you couldn't afford." Nora shook her head quickly. "That's not." "It is," I said, "and it's been happening for years." No one interrupted me now. "I covered things quietly," I continued, "so no one had to feel uncomfortable, so you could keep laughing." The silence thickened. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. My father finally set his glass down, slower than necessary. Nora tried to laugh again. It didn't land. "So this is what you're doing?" she asked. "Bringing this up here?" "Yes," I said, "because it's always been here." I pushed my chair back and stood. "And tonight," I added, "it stops. No yelling, no scene. Just the sound of the table going completely still and everyone realizing the joke had finally cost something." No one followed me right away. That was the strangest part. I stood there, chair half pushed back, waiting for someone to laugh it off, argue, tell me to sit down. My parents didn't move. Nora stared at the table like it had betrayed her. My mother recovered first. She always did. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly but sharply. "Not here." Where then? I asked. When would have been convenient? She frowned like the question itself was unfair. You embarrassed your sister. Nora finally looked up. Her voice was tight. I never asked you to do all that. I nodded. That's the point. My father cleared his throat. Let's all calm down, he said. Not to Nora, to me. Like always. Something settled in my chest then. Not anger. Confirmation. I'm calm, I said. I'm just done. Nora scoffed. So what, you're cutting me off now? I didn't answer right away. I picked up my bag slow enough for everyone to watch. I'm not cutting you off, I said. I'm stepping out. My mother shook her head. This is family. And this, I replied, gesturing to the table, isn't how family talks to someone they depend on. That landed harder than anything else. I walked away without rushing, feeling every step. Behind me, I heard chairs scrape. A sharp inhale. Someone saying my name. I didn't turn around, because I knew the moment I did, they'd try to make it smaller, and I wasn't carrying it anymore. The calls started before I reached home. First, my mother. I let it ring. Then my father. Then Nora. One after another, like urgency could undo what had already been said out loud. I didn't answer. By the time I unlocked my door, the messages were stacked. Long ones. Emotional ones. The kind that circle around accountability without ever touching it. You didn't have to humiliate her. That wasn't fair. We were joking. Not one message asked if what I said was true. That told me everything. Nora finally sent a voice note. Her tone had changed. Less sharp. More careful. You know I didn't mean it like that, she said. You always take things so seriously. Always. Like this had happened once. Like it wasn't a pattern she counted on. I sat on the edge of my couch and listened again, this time noticing what wasn't there. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just confusion that the rules had changed without her permission. My mother texted again. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow was their favorite word. Tomorrow meant delay. Tomorrow meant I'd calm down and fix it for them. I typed one message. Just one. I'm not paying for anything anymore. No explanation. No anger. No debate. The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I put my phone face down. For the first time that night, the silence felt like mine. The reaction didn't come all at once. It never does when people realize leverage is gone. My mother tried reason first. Let's not make permanent decisions over one dinner, she said. We can talk this through. Talk meant negotiate. Negotiate meant return to normal. Nor skipped straight to disbelief. You're being dramatic, she texted. You know I need help right now. Need not appreciation. Not acknowledgement. I didn't respond. By the next day, the tone shifted. Concern replaced confidence. My father asked if I was okay. Not emotionally, financially. Like my usefulness was the real question. I'm fine, I said. I always have been. The answer unsettled him. Nora called twice. I let both go to voicemail. In the second one, her voice cracked. I don't know how to cover next month, she said. I thought we were family. Family. Again. The word that shows up when invoices do. I listened once. I didn't save it. That evening, I went through my accounts and canceled the last automatic payment I'd left running. It felt smaller than the dinner. Quieter. More final. Nothing dramatic happened after that. No explosion. No apology tour. Just a gap where my money used to be and the slow realization on their end that the gap wasn't going to close itself. That's when the pressure really started. Because when support disappears, people don't miss the kindness first. They miss the access. The pressure showed up sideways. My aunt called to check in. A cousin texted about how stressed Nora was. Everyone suddenly cared about my tone, my timing, my delivery. No one cared about the content. That was private, my mother said later. You shouldn't have said it in front of people. I almost laughed. It's been public for years, I replied. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. That ended the call. Nora tried one last angle. She sent a message late at night, softer than before. I didn't know you felt this way. I read it twice. She still didn't know. Because knowing would have required her to look at what she'd taken, not how she felt about losing it. I didn't respond. The next week, I heard she'd moved some things around. Sold a few items. Asked my parents for help instead. The family adjusted awkwardly, like a room rearranged after one chair is removed. No one thanked me. No one apologized. And somehow, that was the clearest proof I'd made the right decision. Because if what I'd been doing was really about love, stopping wouldn't have caused panic. It would have caused conversation. Instead, it caused scrambling. That's when I understood the difference between being valued and being relied on. One of them disappears the moment you say no. The other doesn't need your silence to survive. Things settled into a new shape after that. Not comfortable, just quieter. Family dinners stopped including me. No announcement. No argument. I found out through photos posted later, captions pretending everything was normal. I didn't comment. I didn't ask why. My mother sent shorter messages now. Neutral ones. Weather. Appointments. Nothing that required me to give or fix anything. It felt careful, like she was learning where the edge was. Nora stayed silent. Weeks passed before I heard anything directly. When I did, it wasn't from her. It was from my father. She's working more, he said, trying to manage. I didn't respond right away. Not because I didn't care, but because the relief I felt surprised me. Manage. That word had never been applied to her before. I noticed changes in my own life too. My account balance didn't dip unexpectedly. My phone didn't buzz late at night. I slept without replaying conversations in my head, wondering how to smooth things over the next day. One evening, I sat at my kitchen table and realized I wasn't bracing for anything anymore. The tension I thought was normal had been constant background noise. Without it, everything felt slower. That's when it clicked. I hadn't lost my family. I'd lost a role, and once I stepped out of it, there was space to breathe, space no one had ever planned to give me, but that I no longer needed permission to take. The silence didn't last forever. It just changed direction. My mother called one afternoon, voice measured, careful not to push. "Your sister's struggling," she said, not asking, testing. I listened. "She's late on a payment," my mother added. "Just one. She'll figure it out." I knew that line. It was the preface, the soft opening before the request. "I'm sure she will," I said. There was a pause, longer than usual. "So you're really done?" my mother asked. "Yes," I replied, not cold. Certain. That certainty landed harder than anger ever could. Nora sent a message later that night. Short. No jokes. No edge. "I didn't think you'd actually stop." That was the point. I didn't respond, but I saved the message. Not for leverage, for memory, for proof that the rules had finally changed. A week later, my father mentioned she'd taken extra shifts, cut back, asked fewer questions. No one said my name, and that's when I felt it. Not guilt, not pride, relief. Relief that I hadn't stepped back in. Relief that I'd let discomfort do its job. Because growth doesn't happen when someone else keeps absorbing the cost. It happens when the bill finally stays where it belongs. Nothing exploded after that. There was no apology dinner. No dramatic reunion. Just distance settling into something permanent. Holidays came and went quietly. Smaller. Simpler. I spent them without rehearsing conversations in my head or checking my phone every few minutes, waiting for someone to need something from me. No one did. My mother adjusted first. She stopped hinting, stopped testing. Our conversations stayed surface level, but they were honest in a way they hadn't been before. No expectations hidden underneath. Nora stayed out of my life completely. I heard about her through other people. She was managing, not thriving, not collapsing. Just handling things the way adults eventually do when no one steps in to cushion the fall. And for the first time, that didn't feel like my responsibility. One night, I sat alone at my table, the same kind of table where everything had shifted, and realized how different the quiet felt now. Not tense, not heavy, clean. I didn't win an argument that night. I didn't humiliate anyone the way I'd been humiliated. I didn't teach a lesson out loud. I just stopped paying for comfort that wasn't mine. And when I did, the silence that followed wasn't punishment. It was proof. Proof that the relationship only worked when I stayed smaller than my value. And that walking away from that role was the only way anything real could finally begin. That was the night everything changed. Not because I said something clever, but because I meant it.